If you think it's bad here, you should see what's going on in European countries that Americans think of as super peaceful. A new story in Politico says that grenade attacks have become a part of daily life in Sweden. Rape and sexual harassment are surging. Hundreds of residents tramped off to join ISIS. And last year in Stockholm, a Muslim extremist murdered 5 people by ploughing his stolen truck into the city's iconic department store. Katie Hopkins is a columnist with Rebel Media. Great to have you with us, Katie. Sweden is in a hell of a state. Basically, people's perception of Sweden is about 40 years out of date now.
That's so true. You know, people still imagine Sweden as this idyllic place, lots of mountains, snow-topped mountains, you know, everybody skipping down the street with their pigtails. I was there quite recently and I found it to be a very hostile place indeed. I went to walk the no-go zones. There's about 62 no-go zones now in Sweden where the police fear to go, where the ambulances can't respond to emergencies and where fire engines have to be taken by police because the fire engines are attacked. So really the gangs are establishing themselves, they're keeping the police out, and hand grenades, which you can buy for as little as $30, are being used as a kind of warning device for each gang to keep those people out.
Now, you mentioned those no-go zones. Every time we mention these on Fox, the governments in Europe indignantly deny they exist. So we should say they're unofficial no-go zones. I went to one of them in Rosengård, where the sort of lone police station is like an armed fortress. You can dial, nobody's home. If you ever had to actually go to the police for anything, you can't get in the building. Sweden has undergone it was basically an ethnically homogenous society in which Swedes are predicted to become a minority in their own country by 2050. That's an extraordinary demographic transformation.
They took, you know, there's a population of about 10 million Swedes, and they are, you know, irritatingly enough, Swedish people are exceptionally good looking, and that really annoys me. But anyway, they took this very perfect population and they brought in 170,000 migrants, and those migrants were from countries that we know about. We know the sorts of things that goes on in those countries, and then we wonder, why is it that Sweden has turned into a place where Swedes themselves are desperate to leave? I hear stories all the time of Swedes that want to get out of Sweden because it's too violent. Norway says it doesn't want to become Sweden. And what really bugs me is the media will not be honest about it. They talk about these individuals, these migrants, they talk about them as the new Swedes. Well, guess what? You can't take Mohammed, stick a blonde wig on him and put a name badge that says Ulf and turn him into a Swede. It doesn't work like that.
No, it's interesting, and it's particularly hard on the women. I mean, I talked to a young lady in Östersund and some girls who'd been sexually assaulted at a pop concert. There's an incredible level of sexual assault going on now in a country that we think of, as I said, as still being far more peaceful than the United States or the UK or most other countries.
Yes, and we should stop thinking that way. You know, that's naive to think that way. We've imported half the Middle East to Sweden, and as a result, the men there particularly are behaving like men in the Middle East. 43% of rapes that happen to children in that country, and it has the second highest rape of any country in Europe. And the great news from all of this, if we look for a positive, is that in September they will have elections, and in September the Liberals will be forced out, and actually the Conservatives and the Swedish UKIP will be in.
We have to leave it there, Katie. Thanks for coming on.